Okay, so hi, my name is Alison Torba, and I am making this video today because I have been very moved to share my experience with the HCG protocol by Dr. Simeons in his manuscript, Pounds and Inches. I worked through a naturopath here in Tucson, North Side Naturopathic, and that's with Elizabeth Grady. That's who I received the HCG from. But I wanted to tell my story primarily because I have gotten so much benefit from listening to other women's experience on YouTube, online, particularly HCGchica.com. She's got many videos of different women talking about their experience in great detail, which is super helpful and encouraging, and has been just a true and tremendous and incredible support for me while I've been going through this process. So I wanted to share because the protocol and the effects of the protocol have been so profound for me, and I had never heard of HCG, and I want to distribute the information widely as I can, because I'm such a strong example of how incredibly well it can work for I would say an internal feeling of clearness and all of the benefits of weight loss, particularly moving so much easier and having such a lighter feeling. So I'm going to talk, this is my little microphone here, and boy, it's sensitive. I'm not an expert on this. So I've got this microphone around my neck. That's what this is. It's like one of those microphones that are headphones. So it's the best I could do. I don't really know how the webcam thing works. Anyway, so I'm just trying this. So I wanted to, well, first I'll start just with my age. I'm 42 years old, and I'm white. I'm a white Caucasian. I'm Swiss and German and Norwegian, a little Italian, and Polish, perhaps Turkish, Slavic in descent. I'm 5'10", and so I started gaining weight when I was like in third or fourth grade, and I started eating bulimically at that time, where I would eat so much that I would throw up, and I was gaining weight, and I got plump in fourth grade, and I had emotional problems and family problems, and food was a big part of my life. A lot of my memories from childhood, the best ones I have to do with food and what I ate. I can still remember these clear memories of different food events. So so that's 10 years old, 10 years old, and fast forward to 42, and I would say that I have never felt as good about my weight and as hopeful and clear as I do today. I have so much history with different struggles with food and ingesting, substances generally. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but let me just say that I've often emotionally ate, and I have done many different kinds of techniques to stop myself from doing that in different ways, and maybe less than not doing so many, but the ones I did do, I really tried hard, and I did many. I applied myself tremendously over the years, and it never quite took. So that's a story that I find a lot online when I watch and listen to the women talk about their experiences with HCG. That it's kind of the anyway. So and I guess its popularity is rising, and there's some different opinions about it. So I just wanted to talk about my own experience, because I think it's valuable to know exactly what happened with me. And so I would say that I definitely qualify as a sugar addict, and also perhaps a carbohydrate addict, but definitely a sugar addict, where what I mean by that is that I would eat sugar when I didn't want to. And I also had a great deal of like blurriness around the effects of sugar on my life, and kind of like a not really seeing. So we call that denial, and that's why I say it was addictive. And I see now this, and I've known that for a long time. That So I guess it's not so much denial, since I've known it for a long time, but it's really to have a substance and to have food, a type of food, control me as much as it did. Over the years, it was pretty much a battle with sugar. I would say the majority of time, me trying to stop myself from eating it, me feeling good when I don't, and me eating it and feeling good, and me eating it and not feeling good. And it's just pretty much say an emotion and put sugar with it eventually. And sugar and particularly fat, like buttercream, frosting, buttery, sugary things, bread. But for me, really, it's all of it. It's butter and sugar and bread and cake, and then it could be ice cream, creamy things. I mean, it's like, but the sweet part, I think, is the dominating. So I'm very, I just wanted to communicate how different I feel than I've ever felt before in this last, I'm at 43 days now on the HCG diet. I've been taking 20 milligrams of HCG a day, 6 days a week. I take a day off so that I don't become resistant to the hormone. I've heard HCG called a hormone most of the time, but I've also heard somebody say they're not quite sure that it's a hormone, maybe some type of amino acid. So I think that those things are up for debate still. But so I've been using the injections from prescribed HCG through my naturopath. And in the last 43 days, I've lost around 28 pounds. And that's been shown on my body in inch loss on my waist. I've lost about 4 pounds or 4 inches on my waist. I've lost 4 inches on both thighs. I've lost about 4 inches on my butt and my butt around my hips, and 1 inch on my breasts, and a half an inch on my neck, and 1 inch around each arm. So it's just been amazing. I mean, I can't explain to you how amazing my experience on this HCG has been. I mean, there's no words for it. And it's having come from really believing that weight loss is some sort of magic trick or some sort of controlled habitual pattern that some people seem to be able to master, and I have never been able to do that. So looking at weight loss and weight maintenance is really something that I have failed at over and over again. I have, and I want to say to you that I have for a 10-year stretch not eaten refined sugar at all. If it was 3 ingredients or more on the ingredients level, then I would eat it. If it was 3 ingredients less, then I wouldn't. So in 3-year stints over a 10-year period, one of them was 4 years, I didn't eat refined sugar. So I just say that to let you know that I'm no slouch to using my will and discipline to try to eat in a healthy way. And what happened at the last stint was that I became hopeless, because after 4 years of not eating refined sugar, I still was having sugar cravings, still struggling with food, still wanting to eat, and eating and just breaking down. So the power struggle was there the whole time, and I was exhausted. And I saw other people free of that struggle, not having that struggle, even if they were overweight. And I just wanted out. And I just wanted to stop fighting with myself. And I had fought with myself so many years. And some people would say that, you know, that there's another way to do it, which is a more spiritual way where you sort of let God help you do that. And I also attempted doing that for many years, trying to, you know, be spiritual and surrender to a God that would help me, and using prayer, meditation, and other tools like a nutritionist, a food plan to assist. And the God I had, the God that I could come up with, couldn't take the sugar cravings, or didn't. So that didn't work. And I let go of that. So I started at 221, and I started at 211.5. And my first 2 loading days, I gained 7 pounds, and then I dropped all 7 pounds in the first 2 days. I think even the first day. So of the injection days. So, and what I found, you know, one of the things that was really clear to me was that the milk in the ice cream I was eating on the loading days made me sick. Also just milk, whole milk, which I drank because I never did, and I thought I loved it, but it actually made me sick for the whole time of the whole 2 loading days, so it ruined my fun, really. And I haven't quite accepted that I'm lactose intolerant. I'm looking forward to isolating different foods when I reintroduce them to see what my physical response is. That's one of the aspects of the HCG protocol that helps me to trust it is the personal focus on what foods work for each person, and everybody needing to find that out for themselves. So it's a process of discovery and personal growth, really. That has to do with connecting to my body, understanding, feeling my body, interpreting signals from my body. Same thing with Weight Loss Apocalypse, which is a book about HCG that many people recommend one read when they first start the protocol, which I did. Although I don't care for some of the, I consider judgmental language in the book about gluttony. She seems to say gluttony over and over and over again, and I find it really shaming, actually. But she's got a nice idea of tracking what hunger feels like, and so she calls it a hunger scale, and on a scale from 1 to 5, you put how you personally experience the sensation of hunger and thirst, and so I can get clear on when I'm starting to get hungry, when I'm almost totally hungry, when I'm famished and I can't think straight, or whatever it is that happens when I'm famished, and then what the advanced hunger is, and maybe what a fasting state would be, and then also what eating, the effects of eating a appropriate amount of food is, as far as the sensation I would have, and then what too much food and what way too much food feels like, the physical effects, physical, emotional, spiritual, I suppose, effects. So that was the most valuable part of that book that I intend to use. I tried to implement the hunger scale and learn from it when I was on HCG, which didn't work because I'm rarely hungry. And that's one of the things that the HCG injections do, is they make me not hungry. So it's given me a lot of freedom to step back from really some powerful food urges and get some perspective on that. So the other thing about Weight Loss Apocalypse, which I got it at my library and just read it and then returned it, is she talks about eating to hunger, which is the idea that you only eat if you're hungry. And that's great. And we'll see about that, if I can do that when I actually have a lot of hunger. That will be seen. She, I feel, very advocative, almost judgmentally pushy way. The message I got from the book was, if you can't eat to hunger, you're a glutton. And that doesn't work for me. So I'm going to see, she even says, and this is my experience too, that most people don't eat to hunger. Many people don't know what even hunger feels like. And I got online, I was researching what hunger feels like, because I was able with HCG to go for many, many hours without eating and without being hungry or feeling upset about not eating. And I wanted to just see, I would have little burps. This was the day after I read Weight Loss Apocalypse. I was like maybe 10 days into the HCG protocol. And what I found was that the, excuse me, what I found was that there was, I thought, oh, well, I'm going to not be a glutton and eat to hunger, even on HCG. And so I didn't eat, and I didn't eat a lot for a long time. And I didn't have a problem with it except these little burps. And so I got online and I said, well, what really does hunger? And boy, there were some real wild, judgmental videos about people being really angry that other people don't know what hunger is, and that particularly, you know, gluttonous Americans don't know what hunger is, and that we don't know our signals, and I have my own views about why we're out of touch with our bodies, and I prefer to not judge myself or blame myself or others for much of anything. So I didn't really find much that I thought was helpful about what hunger really feels like to somebody, like a real just clear balance, like this is what I feel like when I'm hungry. There is a good sample, I think, in Weight Loss Apocalypse. She talks about, you know, kind of getting lightheaded, but that's pretty advanced. They talk about a grumbling stomach, which I don't remember that, and so we'll see. So Pounds and Inches, Weight Loss Apocalypse, a book called Grain Brain, and another book called Wheat Belly are the 3 books that I have read during this month and a half, and all of them have felt like life-changing books for me. I also have looked into the website Eat Stop Eat, which is about intermittent fasting, and that also, so those are the 4 books, and yeah, so what I'm going to do is just briefly go over what I've done. So the way that I do the protocol, and let me just talk about the first week, the first day. I hadn't quite understood that I wasn't supposed to touch or use anything with oil in it at all while I was on HCG. That didn't quite penetrate into my mind. That I was told, but, and I did have some, I spent like a couple days preparing. I had been waiting for about 3 weeks. I knew I was going to go on it. I had done the research, but not the oil part, I don't think. I hadn't quite followed it all the way through in my mind. So it came as a surprise, and it was kind of a rough week where I started using my plastic gloves to clean my dishes. Actually, I didn't have plastic gloves for dishes, so I got really long sleeved gloves, Playtex gloves for dishes, and then I did have the throwaway plastic gloves, and I started using those to do other things and particularly I started raw feeding my dogs, and I needed to wear those gloves constantly while I was handling their food. Um, and also when I was handling the outsides of the bags of their food, and when the countertops and the sink and the whole thing. So I needed to really be conscientious, because if any fat or oil gets on my skin, it can counteract the HCG and I could gain weight. So it actually soaks into my skin. So that was a big adjustment. I thought that I could find shampoo and conditioner and soap and lip balm and maybe makeup, face cream, sunscreen, toothpaste, deodorant, soap that would work. And when I went to Target, I read all the ingredients on the shampoos and the conditioners, for example, but some of the names were so long and complicated, and I didn't want to screw up, and I really didn't know if there were oils or not. Palmitate, for example, it was one of the trick words, and when you look it up, it says it's developed from palm oil, and there's even some HCG proponents that say you can expose yourself to palm oil, coconut oil. And so that was a question. But I really like HCG's, Chica's idea of when in doubt, leave it out. But it took me a while to get there, because I thought, well, I need these things. I need to do these things. I have to figure it out, what I can use and what I can't. And so I struggled a lot researching these different ingredients on different things, calling my naturopath and begging them to call me back because there's palmitate in this lip balm and I don't know if I could use it. Particularly the lip balm, I was amazed how on the first 2 days I was terrified that I couldn't use lip balm. I didn't realize how dependent I was on lip balm. I used it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. I live in Tucson, Arizona. My lips would get really chapped, and I just used it constantly. I had 5, 6, 7 containers of it all over my house, and I had to put it away. And what I did, now, what I came to, which was after I limited, because I bought some fancy brands of lip balm and they're like Lip Plumper from New York City brand at Target, and I bought another Lip Plumper from ELF at Target. I ended up not using either of those just because there's still a question in my mind about whether or not they'll have an effect, and the stress that it took me and the question it puts in my mind the next day about did I not lose because I used that ELF lip plumper ended up not being worth doing the lip plumper. I got 2 things that I was positive sure didn't have oil in them. One was oil-free Clearasil face soap, and I have been using that the whole time on my whole body. And then I was really clear that there wasn't oil in baking soda and vinegar, but particularly baking soda. So I've been brushing my teeth with baking soda. I could not find a toothpaste that didn't seem to have something. There's a toothpaste, what is it, the glycerin. That's the one thing that seemed to be in everything, even though like it would be close. Oh, I don't think there's any oil in that, but it does have glycerin. Is glycerin oil? And on some of the HCG sites they have, well, this is oil-free. this has glycerin. So it seems like for some people they wonder as well. And I just got tired of wondering, and so I just didn't use it. And I ended up just limiting and limiting. So I used baking soda. I still am brushing my teeth with baking soda, and then I wash my mouth out with hydrogen peroxide also. And then I was washing dishes the first 4 days with baking soda and vinegar, which is, I think, a reliable go-to for cleaning. And I have used it as a reliable go-to to wash my hands over these days if I don't have access to the no oil soap. But I've gotten in trouble when I've been out and needed to wash my hands. Once I was at the manicurist and she put a bunch of oil on my hands and she said, go wash. And I went, oh my God. And I ran to the sink and they had like a pump, a soap pump. And I washed really fast and tried to get it off my hands. My naturopath said that it will just, because one gets kind of dry when you're not eating oil or touching oil, that the skin just takes it in. So it's difficult to, it just probably got into my skin. So, and assessing what it is that might cause a weight stasis or even a little weight gain, it starts to become exhausting to me. And so anything that seemed like it might make me wonder about it just I just said, no, I'm not even gonna try it. I've got, I started thinking about the short period of time I'm doing this, and it's just not worth it to try to figure out if I can do X without having a problem. And there's information that people talk about where, HCG Chica talks about in their interviews where the nature of HCG loss is that sometimes you stay at the same weight for a few days and then you drop, or you drop a little, gain a little, drop a little, so that's actually the nature of it for women, mostly on the average. And so you've got that, and then if you throw in something else that might be causing weight stasis or weight gain, it's just even more kind of exhausting. So I also, they have like no oil lotions online that you can order, and I wasn't able to find any lotion and I didn't want to order online an expensive lotion. Mineral oil is allowed, but mineral oil doesn't even actually go into your skin, so it just seemed like petroleum jelly too. But what I did do is, and what I found was that the sunscreens, there's just lots of sunscreen that's oil free. And so I bought a sunscreen and that was oil free, and I've been using that as my cream. So I use it on my hands. I don't use a lot of it because I really don't know what's in it, but I put it on my lips, and it got me through the first 2-3 days of lip crisis. And I put it, the first day, I think I put it on my lips like 15 times because it doesn't actually go in. And I was so afraid of being constantly uncomfortable because of my lips. I was constantly aware that they were dry, and I was like, this is going to be a living hell to live like this, where I'm preoccupied with my lips. And what happened is that in like 2 days, and it wasn't because I was putting cream on it, I just kind of stopped needing it. And I realized wow, one day I realized, wow, I haven't put lip balm on for a long time. I haven't put that sunscreen on my lips. I wonder if my lips have kind of gotten their own moisturizer, or maybe because I think I was in some kind of vicious cycle with my lip balm because I could never quite feel that my lips were balmed or moisturized. So I put lip balm on over and over again, and I put on the good stuff like Burt's Bees, and I use it for a long time. I use that bladder or like that bag balm that they put on cows, and I, I mean, I had used natural substances. I think I'd used vitamin E oil or oil, and another kind of like healing vitamin E oil, vitamin like maybe some kind of a shark oil or something that was for some kind of something, and nothing had ever really. So I just I wanted to share that because I had invested $450, which is what it cost me to get the shots from my naturopath, and also the 40 days of shots, and which is really reasonable from what I've heard from other places. And the and with that weekly, I had B6 and B12 and some kind of fat burning shots in my butt. Weekly, I'd go in, and then I would also have like a consult with with her, and she would talk to me about tweaking and what my weight loss, how things were going. And I just think that's great. I actually think that I wouldn't have been successful if I hadn't been working with a naturopath. One of the main reasons I say that is because her menus were just outstanding, and are outstanding for phase. We call it phase one. It's often called phase two. The where you 500 calories is what I'm talking about. The 500 calorie menus. They've just been great. And one of the reasons is that I use a lot of sweet leaf stevia. There's like flavored kinds, and I got this party pack, 4 different party packs of 4 different flavors, so 16 different flavors. And that stevia, boy, that's good. So you can just have like, I can just have strawberries, apples, and grapefruit. But when I've got English toffee stevia and chocolate stevia and cinnamon stevia and vanilla cream stevia and lemon drop stevia, and those are my favorites to put on the fruit. It makes it where I feel like I'm eating candy, or I'm really doing something wrong. That's really fun because I've never liked strawberries much because they don't have that much sugar, and I'm into strong sugar. So the stevia has just really saved me. It's also, I put unflavored stevia in my salad dressings, and so with the apple cider vinegar and then just plain stevia, the dressings they're pretty sweet, and it works for me. So I eat like green apples and the sweeter stevia with the apple cider vinegar, and salads, and it's like a sweet and sour, and it gets me through. It makes me feel like I'm really eating good food, and I haven't really had an issue with flavor or like that. So the lip balm drama, and what I do with my hair, so I'm going to go back to that to kind of classify. So I have long hair, and it took me a long time to find a shampoo that I thought I could use, and I use Prel, and which is just old-fashioned chemical shampoo. Prel. They don't try to be fancy. They don't try to put any coconut oil in it or any kind of oil to make it fancy, or vitamins or anything. It's Prel. We're just Prel, you know, green chemicals, basically. And that's what I use, and it's fine. And so I use Prel, and then I wash my hair, and I only wash my hair about every 5 days, and then I put the sunscreen in it, in the ends, and then I brush it up, and I put a braid at the top of my head, and I leave it in a braid. I put the braid up here so I can sleep on have my head on the bed, and so I put the braid up here, and it comes down, and then I can move it, and that allows me to not have to work a lot with my hair or worry about my hair. I've just got it down for the weekend because I needed a break, because having it up for almost 40 days, it's a little hard on my scalp. But that's been a good method. Every 5 days I take it down, I wash it, I braid it, I put it back up, and I can just go to work. I'm a paralegal, so I need to look organized, and my hair needs to be in place, and so that's been good for me. I've seen people's hair when they're doing it, and because you can't use conditioner, I think it's just better to put hair away if you have it. So yeah, so as far as actual toiletries, body things, witch hazel, because I live in Tucson and I have a body odor issue, always have. I was on a new kind of deodorant, which is the cream, and I can't use that. So then there's the deodorant that's called salt roll-on. It's like a roll-on salt, and so that's what I was recommended to use, and I bought that, but it's not enough for me, probably. So what I've been doing is I have spray bottles that I put witch hazel in, and witch hazel, according to my naturopath, is a astringent. Even though it has a little bit of oil in it, it has the witch hazel oil from the witch hazel bark. She said it's just a minuscule amount, and there's also alcohol in witch hazel, and then there's something else. There's 3 things. I used to mix it with rose water to make it smell better, because I don't like the way it smells, but I just have to do straight witch hazel. So what I do is halfway through the day, I just spray myself down with witch hazel, and it wears off. The smell wears off within 3 or 4 minutes. Here in Tucson, it's so hot here. It's the middle of the summer. It's over 100 degrees out every day. And if I'm driving around, I just will start to smell. I'll sweat, you know, and so I'll just spray myself down with witch hazel. And I spray my feet with witch hazel. And I do that in the morning too, after I take a bath or after I shower. I spray with witch hazel. And that's been helpful to me to feel like I'm getting clean. There's also no oil bath scrub, which I saw last week, which I wanted to get. I thought I did, but I mistakenly didn't get it. But that no oil bath scrub looks good, because having some kind of scrub, you can also just use a washcloth. But so, and then using Prel in the other areas with hair, and I've been just using the no oil soap for shaving cream, and makeup. I don't have MAC lipstick, and I am not using it because I just don't know. I've been wearing mascara, MAC mascara, and L'Oreal, or not L'Oreal. It's like a really nice, expensive mascara. But they say mascara generally doesn't give you a problem, and it hasn't, I don't think. So I'll put mascara on. and I'll put eyeshadow on. So, yeah, and problem with my nails, I have, you know, acrylic nails, and I do this for work, and so I've gone to the manicurist to get the fills, and like I said, she dumped oil all over my hands. She can't barely speak English, and I didn't, so I can't really tell her what I'm doing, and I wasn't prepared. I had forgotten the process. I haven't had them for very long, so that was a shock. So, and I've been advised to not go to hairdressers. I would like to get my hair cut, but I'm gonna wait till I'm done because the shampoos they use, all of it can give a problem. So that's, oh, just a note, something I discovered. I don't know if any of you have leather shoes, leather uppers or leather shoes. I've had a lot of leather shoes, and I live in Tucson, and I noticed that the shoes were smelly, and they've always been kind of dirty, smelly, the shoes. And I discovered that Clearasil, or the no oil soap, the no oil soap I've been using all over my body this whole time, is actually the best way to clean leather shoes. So like you can clean inside a leather upper, like my dress shoes. You can clean inside with the no oil soap in like in your sink or in a bucket. You can completely put the shoe all the way in cold water with the no oil soap. This leather expert uses this no oil soap, and you can actually clean your leather shoes. And yeah, so that was great. So I actually cleaned all my shoes with my no oil soap and in cold water, and they came out great. So thrilled to find that out, because I just didn't know how to clean my shoes. I knew I could throw my tennis shoes in the washing machine sometimes, but that was it really. So, and that kind of beat them up anyway. So that was a benefit. So that first week, I also, you know, on the protocol, they say that you can eat buffalo, and I, you know, did that. I went out and bought buffalo for the first time in my life, and I cooked it, and when I cooked it, there was all this oil coming out of it, and so I thought, well, it's bison, so they said I could do it, and I didn't think anything about it, but just because, just by luck, I guess, I drained it on paper towels, and when I drained it on paper towels, then I also like patted it down with paper towels, and I really cleaned a lot of the oil off of it. Oh, my naturopath had that. She said if you end up going out to eat at, we have 2 places in town. She said McDonald's has a Caesar salad with chicken that you can get. And then there's another place here called Chipotle that has salads with chicken. And she said if you go to one of those places, you can pat the meat down with a napkin to get the oil off of it, to try to reduce the amount of oil that you're eating if you absolutely have to go out to eat. And so that's why I did that, tapping the meat down. And I ate that buffalo for probably the first 2 weeks, and it seemed like I wasn't having any problem at all. And I was happy as a clam because I'd put that, it was really good, and I'd put it in salad, I'd mix it. That was another thing I discovered, is that using the meat, even though I had 3 ounces of meat, it was more helpful for me to get like ground chicken and ground buffalo, because I could crumble it in salads and have it, crumbles of it in soup, and it would go a longer way. And I'd feel like I was really getting a lot of the flavor because it was all through the whole dish, or the whole salad, or the whole soup. And I just felt like I was getting more. Whereas if I would just sit and eat 3 ounces of meat, like a chicken breast or something, and I would just eat chunks of meat, it seemed like it was gone really quickly. So ground up in little pieces was better, or chopped up in little pieces. just seemed to go a longer way. And then when I got shrimp, I got really little shrimp, and so it seemed like I had a lot, and because it was more distributed throughout. So that was great, how I did that. That's really worked well for me. Um, but what happened is that I stopped using the buffalo because I had a stall, and my naturopath was just against the buffalo. She said American buffalo is just high in fat, and it's not like it used to be. It's not the old days, and now they're fattening them up just like the cows, and so just stay away from it. So, but I don't know. We were just troubleshooting, trying to figure out what it was, why I didn't, and I honestly don't know. But I just stopped with the buffalo because I just didn't want it to be just another variable in what I might be doing wrong. So I just went to the white meat. So I just went to chicken and fish and shellfishes. So, and that's what I've been doing. So, and I can talk more. I should probably do another one that's just about the food that I eat. But that first week was, yeah, that whole buffalo was like a new buffalo experience, and figuring out what worked with that. And then making really good salad dressing with stevia really, I think, saved me. And I also chop apples up and I put stevia on them, and that really saved me, rather than just eating an apple, which isn't nearly as fun as if they're chopped up and they've got stevia on them. Same thing with strawberries. So I think that got me through the first week. Also, there's hot chocolate stevia, and my naturopath has a really cool suggestion, which is to have like a cup that has a top that you can't see what color the thing you're drinking is, so you can't see it's clear water. And if you cover it, then you can drink the cocoa and feel like you're drinking hot, warm cocoa with the stevia flavoring, and tricking yourself kind of like that. I've done that a couple times. But that first week was, and I was amazed at my weight loss that first week. I actually went from 217 to like 200 in that first couple weeks. Something, I mean, I just had this amazing drop. I don't have the total numbers. I'll do the numbers in another one, but I just couldn't believe the way the weight was. I just couldn't even believe what was going on, what was happening. And I wanted to keep it. I wanted to make it continue. I didn't want to screw it up because it was amazing what was happening. So, and I didn't want to waste HCG. I didn't want to, touch oil and then ruin a whole day of weight loss because I touched oil, So, same thing with like laundry detergent. A few times I've stuck my hand in my washer and then went, oh shit, like I've got to go wash this off now. So I run and go wash it off. I don't know what's in laundry detergent, but I'm guessing there's some kind of oil. And so I've had to get rid of that. I don't know how much of an effect that had, but yeah, it's just pretty much everything. So I wasn't quite prepared for all of those household behavioral changes. I also ate a bunch of bacon the night before when I was loading, and so the first day I did the injections, I had a dirty bacon pan in my sink in the morning, and I hadn't quite gotten it that I needed gloves and everything, so I went in to wash the pan, and I washed, the first day of HCG, I washed a bacon pan covered in bacon grease, and halfway through I went, oh my God, what am I doing? I can't believe, what did I just do? And then I was like, how am I gonna get this grease off of this pan? And then I did research, and okay, the plastic gloves, which I actually had those gloves, but then I didn't really have a dish soap that I was using baking soda and vinegar, and so I didn't really have a dish soap that I thought could really cut that kind of grease. And I used the baking soda and vinegar, and there was still grease on the pan. And I was like, oh God, I'm going to cook with this, and there's going to be grease in the food, and I'm going to gain weight, and So I had to go get a really good dish soap to clean that pan. So that was like a drama that I didn't, anticipate, and then it gave me a headache the next day, the first day, and I got a little discouraged about that. Like, wow, this is hard, There's a lot to this, and I don't want to hurt myself, and I don't want to, screw it up. And so I'm sharing this with you because, maybe you can stop yourself from, you can anticipate these things before you start HCG, so you don't have to do what I did. So this has been an hour-long video, and it's 56 minutes. I'm going to call it my first week of HCG, the jumping off of the cliff. So I hope this was helpful to you. I really I love this process, and it's just great. So just don't stop, because it's just an incredible, amazing opportunity and experience to go through this protocol. I just can't even explain to you how happy I am. So very happy. First, more happy than I've ever been in my life. So I just wanted to share. So that's all, and yeah. So powers that be, my best to you, everybody. Bye.